Welcome to another episode of Off the Menu. I'm Vincent Franchini from Tumblr House, here with the ubiquitous Charles Coulombe.
Ubiquitous or iniquitous?
Iniquitous? No, no.
Ubiquitous?
Ubiquitous.
All right. I'll go with that. I'm getting large enough to be ubiquitous. Never mind. Anyway, so gosh, it's the new year. It's 2018.
Yeah.
Heavens to Betsy. And on this following Monday, where our viewers are living right now,
mm-hmm.
Our English ancestors had a word for the Monday after the Epiphany.
What was that?
Plow Monday.
Plow Monday?
Plow Monday.
Why is that?
Well, that's because that was when they had to go back to work.
Oh.
After the 2 weeks of Christmas revelry. Then the following day, the Tuesday, was called Distaff Tuesday, because that was when the chicks went back to work with spinning, the spinning wheel and things like that.
What was the word?
Distaff.
Distaff.
Distaff Tuesday. Ever since then, distaff has come to be female. Like the distaff side of things means the female persuasion.
Mm.
Well, you may not have heard this, but I'm so old I remember when we had genders. There used to be two of them. No, it's true. There were these two genders, male and female. Yeah, no, it worked. It worked very well. Now we've got all or nothing. Usually nothing.
Mm.
Sometimes all. All right. Beyond that, let me see, what can I tell you? You know how we know that it's coming to an end, the Christmas season?
How?
Because, you may not have noticed this, but they're out of the powdered Borden's eggnog in the Tumblr House canteen.
I know. It's sad.
I felt very, very bad. Luckily, they still have postum instead of coffee, so that's good. Anyway, I don't know what else to add. It's the start of a new year. Christmas is going to be vaguely with us until Candlemas Eve, and then we'll go into Mardi Gras. But I don't like saying goodbye to Christmas.
No, nobody does.
No, it's annoying. Well, be assured of this, ladies and gentlemen. If you're having separation anxiety from Christmas as I am, and if you're not that happy seeing the hearts to Valentine's Day up in the stores already, me neither.
Okay.
What you got?
So before we get started, I just want to say keep up the good work on the likes. We've got double the likes, and as a result, we've gotten a lot more subscribers this past week because all of our fans out there have been liking. So just keep up the good work, and thank you so much. But also, I wanted to do something else new and special before we get started.
That could be very strange.
Yeah, some people.
George Michael last Christmas.
No.
Because he was going to give his heart to somebody special.
No, not like that.
Okay.
Not like that.
All right. That's a part of Christmas I don't mind saying goodbye to.
Some people, they like to show off cars.
Yeah.
Some people like to show off food. I like to show off books.
Okay, what do you got for us?
And I just ordered from Loretto Publications the Liturgical Year. 15-volume set you have here.
Wait a minute. Tumblr House isn't selling the Liturgical Year.
No, we're not selling it in any way. We're not going to make we're not going to make a dime off this promotion. But this is an incredibly important book, and we like promoting incredibly important books.
So basically, just because this book has the power to transform one's life, and I say that without exaggeration, just because of that, you're pushing it, even though you're not making a penny off it.
That's right. Yeah, I told you, I told Charles in December excitedly. I said, "Oh, I'm finally purchasing the Liturgical Year," and that's exactly what you said. You said it will transform your life, and that struck me. I thought about that for a bit because it occurred to me that I had never heard anyone say that about anything before, other than perhaps those commercials for the exercising machines. Buy our machine and for transform your life for 5 easy payments of $29.95.
Or for some kitchen implement.
Or transform your life.
It cuts, it blends, it purees.
Yeah, no, this is not the same. This is not the same deal here. This, well, this is. I mean, this is one of the books that you listed on their desert island question. The books that you can take with you to the desert island. You said the Dewey Rames Bible.
Yep.
Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yep.
And Liturgical Year.
Indeed, indeed.
That's pretty good company.
It is, especially when you figure out kind of cheating, because there are 14 volumes in the Liturgical Year.
Right.
But, no, it's true. And why is this? Well, the reason is because the Liturgical Year is an accompaniment, according to the traditional calendar, for every day of the year for the Catholic, throughout the liturgy, both the sanctoral and temporal cycles. St. Therese of Lisieux's father read it to her family every day, and she attributed a great deal of her own piety and devotion to the Liturgical Year. I myself use it every day, in tandem, if I go to the dreaded Novus Ordo, in tandem with the Magnificat. And the Liturgical Year is really an incredible addition both to your intellect and your prayer life. You know, part of the problem with Catholics for quite a while has been the separation between scholarship and sanctity. And that's not a good thing. And Dom Granger, who put the book together, who wrote it, he bridges that gap again and does it for you in a very, very wonderful way. Now, I have to say that it's available this way from the Renault Publications. These days you can get it online. You can get it online in French. It's marvelous. But however you get it, bring it to Mass with you, read it. I guarantee you your life will change if you let Dom Granger be your spiritual guide. You will see noticeable changes. And a large part of it, I think, is that the changing annoyances of the day will come to mean somewhat less to you. Remember that Dom Granger was writing literally in the aftermath of the French Revolution. This man brought back to life the Benedictine order in France, which had become extinct. He refounded it. He revived the liturgical chant, which was dead. And he wrote this book and a lot of other things. And I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, he lived in what was a very bleak time. And every now and then, like there's one volume, because he died, I think, about the Corpus Christi volume, so it was continued. But there's one volume where the monks have been driven out of their monastery by the French government. And so the continuator of the work asks for your prayers and for those who repose the soul of Dom Granger, whose tomb lies lonely in the chapel. You know, because they weren't there.
Yeah.
Eventually they came back. They're there now. But if you are at all tempted to get downhearted, he constantly, one way or another or the other, reminds you, this is a passing show. We have not here an abiding city. True happiness is not to be found on this side of the grave. And all that we do here has to be a preparation for that real homeland of ours, the land of lights, the land of the living, the realms of endless day. Dom Granger constantly reminds us that heaven is what we need to aim at, and that we should not let ourselves get too perturbed by the annoyances of the everyday.
Yeah, so this is the hardcover version. It's currently out 15% off, but so I think it normally retails for over $500. So by 15% off, that means you're going to save like $75 if you buy it. Now that's a chunk of change.
Loretto Publications in New Hampshire. New
Hampshire, yes. I'll put the link in the description so you guys can go. But it's really nice. It's got a little bookmark. So you can keep your place. This Sunday is, I guess, the Feast of the Most Holy Name of Jesus.
Well, no.
Oh, no?
No.
Oh. No. What's the upcoming?
No. Oh, now you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
This Sunday is going to be the Sunday after the Epiphany.
Oh, did I skip ahead on that? Okay, maybe
No, I'll show you what you did. When the first Sunday occurring of the year falls on January 1st, or 6th or 7th, the Feast of the Holy Name is kept on January 2nd.
Okay.
So it's just because it was on the Sunday. It's not your fault. You couldn't help yourself. You didn't know. Don't blame yourself. please.
I had to read that, and that reading's hard.
Now, the reading's hard, but we're actually past that now. We're on the octave of we're January 4th, the octave of the Holy Innocents.
Okay. Wow.
So.
Whoa, all the way. Okay, excellent. There, thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
So
it's almost like a demonstration.
Yeah. So you've got a nice little bookmark so you can keep your place.
Boy, you've got a lot of reading ahead of you.
Yeah, got a lot of reading, but so the hardcover is like $470 now. But they also have a paperback version for, I think it's $250. Yeah. But for me, see, I'm not a person of means. I don't have a lot of money, but I bought the hardcover version because this struck me. I mean, this isn't a book where you just go through these volume once and then you're done. You're going to be reading this every day for the rest of your life.
Pretty much, yeah.
So you're going to want something sturdy.
This is a lifetime investment, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely. So that's why I personally got the hardcover, because I felt I wanted it to last. I don't want it to wear out after a year. So this is Liturgical Year.
All right. Well, do we have any questions?
Oh, yeah, we do have questions.
Gosh. That's great. All right, what do we got?
Today our show is primarily composed of questions sent in by superfan Nathan Jones.
Hello, Nathan. I hope they're easy.
So thank you, Nathan, for giving us plenty of material today.
If he's thanking you, that means I won't. All right, fine. What do we got?
Okay, he says, greetings from the Quaker state of Penn's Woods.
Penn's Woods. You know, there's a very pacific place. While my home state of New York was refusing to sign the Constitution unless they could secede. That's, hate crimes. That is just by doing that. Pennsylvania was filled with Quakers who were happily making oaths and just being nice and peaceful.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. You've got a little special lapel pin there.
Yeah,
what's that all about?
It's my native state of New York. It's again a hate crime by virtue of identifying all New Yorkers are haters and bigots. Everyone, starting with the Cuomo clan, because the state wanted the right to secede if it was going to sign the Constitution. And as we know, any state that wants to secede from the Union for any reason are filled with bigots and haters. That's why the New England states wanted to do that with the Hartford Convention in 1814. They're all bigots and haters. Everybody's a bigot and a hater. Everybody. I don't care. Everybody.
But you're embracing your hater nature.
I'm embracing everyone's hater nature. They're all haters and bigots. Everybody. Name one person, and I'll tell you why they're a hater and bigot.
Martin Luther King.
Black.
What?
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, if you have a race, you're a hater and bigot by nature.
Based on what?
By being human. Human beings tend to dislike that which is not like them and like that which is. It takes an act of the will to be a little bit more sane. If you have a race of your own, or a nationality, or even a gender, you're a bigot and a hater.
That's incredibly intolerant, Charles.
No, it's accepting.
That's true. Okay. Well,
I accept everyone's right to hate everyone else. But that's what the Internal Revenue Service is about. See? This is un-American, ladies and gentlemen. The IRS exists to remind us all that we're equal in their sight.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Nathan's first question.
Yeah.
What incurs apostasy? Would an Orthodox who is inobediente be considered an apostate and therefore outside communion? If so, does apostasy break the covenant of baptism as debated in the early church?
All right. Well, notice I didn't do quite the head spin.
No, you didn't do, yeah.
The Orthodox and the Catholics have a very strange and special relationship. Why is that? Well, it's because while the schism exists, it has no legal basis anymore. There's no legal foundation. What do I mean by that? I mean that all it was the mutual excommunications of the Pope of Rome and the Patriarch of Constantinople. Those were lifted in 1964.
Okay.
So
So now what?
Yeah, indeed. Now what? It's hard to say. I mean, when an Orthodox becomes Catholic, he doesn't have to go through any sort of renunciation. All he does is go to communion and confession. So, it's a mystery. Not unlike how many female religious orders are there in the church. What else we got?
Can an Orthodox who is in full communion with Rome cease to be Orthodox in the nominal denominational sense, and therefore can be saved according to extra ecclesiam nulla salus, and not be considered an apostate thereof?
If I'm understanding right the question, can a Catholic-minded Orthodox be saved as part of the church? I would say so. I would guess so. Since what makes a Catholic? What makes a Catholic is adherence to the Catholic faith, acceptance of the Roman Pontiff, the reception of valid sacraments. So, I guess, and again, we get into an area, ladies and gentlemen, that is so vague and weird and strange that unless you're the Pope,
you're not claiming to be an expert on these matters, so we can do without the this is like retards discussing quantum physics thing.
Well,
am I right?
as a retard discussing quantum physics, I feel. No, it's the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, all of us want pat, easy answers. Schism is a gooey, strange thing. Why? Because it doesn't involve positive belief. It involves jurisdiction. Now that should seem easy, shouldn't it? But does it? I have known Orthodox, so-called, who accepted the papal primacy, and at least one Catholic bishop who did not. And yet, one of them is supposedly a schismatic, and the other is supposedly a union with Rome. So, what gives?
Mm-hmm.
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands, yeah.
I'm moonwalking away from that one. But I would say, to be a Catholic, you have to hold the Catholic faith, accept the supremacy of the Pope, receive the sacraments. That's what makes you Catholic, not being a member of a parish or a registered member of a given diocese.
Suspiciously close to more fence-sitting.
If I don't have an answer, I don't have an answer. If that sounds like fence-sitting, I'm sorry.
Okay, how can Orthodox have valid orders if the Sultan had appointed his own patriarch? Is this only an issue of the Greek succession, or can all successions be questioned in origin, such as Armenian, Russian, Ukrainian, etc.?
No, there's absolutely no question of the validity of orders at all. If there were, then our orders would be questionable when the popes were appointed by the sluts of the House of Theophylact during the pornocracy. A century of that. The appointment by the Sultan or the Patriarch had nothing to do with the validity of his orders. The sacraments work ex opere operato, that is to say, of themselves. And as long as the people conferring the sacrament and the fellow receiving it had the right intention, the right form was used, the right manner, that's all you need. And this is another area, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, where it would be nice for us as human beings if the church would simply make things simple. St. Cyprian and various other people who were heretics wanted, for instance, heretical baptisms to be invalid. They wanted heretical communions to be invalid, or schismatic orders to be invalid. That would be so much easier and would fit our human way of doing things. But it's not the way he decided to do it.
Yeah. Why do we not consider the Anglicans or Lutherans schismatics, but heretics? What's the distinguishing factor between heretic and schismatic? Is it a question of valid orders?
No, it's not, because the Armenians and the Syriac Orthodox and the Ethiopians and the Copts were considered at one time to be heretical, but opposites, in fact, and the Assyrians to be Nestorian, but they all had and have valid orders. Whether or not they still hold the heresies their fathers were said to have held is another story. So no, it doesn't have to do with the validity of orders. What it does have to do is with the adoption, the official adoption by a church group. And again, we're not talking about individuals, which, as I said earlier, gets weird with the Orthodox.
Mm-hmm.
But the adoption by an organized ecclesial group of heretical doctrine is what makes them heretics. So in other words, with the Orthodox, although you'll hear and read various heretical opinions from various Orthodox theologians, they themselves will admit to you that there is no way for them to define any heresy. They're stuck with the creeds and the 7 ecumenical councils. There's nothing in Orthodoxy that can go any further than that.
Mm.
So we call them schismatic, but not heretical, even though there are heretics among them. Okay. But the Anglicans have the 39 Articles. Those are heretical.
Ah.
Now, mind you, not all of them believe them. So obviously, if you're an Anglican who doesn't accept the heresies of the 39 Articles, you're a bad Anglican, but...
Okay.
Similarly, the Lutherans have the Formula of Concord and the Augsburg Confession. So they have made plain certain heretical beliefs. So that's why we call them heretics.
Mm.
Now, the Church of Sweden claimed to have had the apostolic succession, the way the Anglicans did. The Holy See, unlike the Anglicans, never legislated as far as the Church of Sweden were concerned. So they did us the favor of ending the question by consecrating women bishops.
Ah.
So that took care of the problem.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
So it's all over now. No worries. And looking at that, you see, in my humble opinion, and again, I'm not an expert, so this may sound like fence sitting or like a retard discussing quantum physics, but historically, it seems to me that one of two things will go: the apostolic succession or heresy. If a people keep the heresy, the apostolic succession in time will go.
Mm.
But if they keep the apostolic succession, the heresy in time will go.
Interesting.
That's just an observation, though. It's certainly not a...
Yeah. Okay.
All right, what else we got?
Can the Pope be a formal heretic? Who can decide if the Pope is a formal heretic? A council of bishops or God alone? St. Robert Bellarmine believes that the Pope cannot be a formal heretic, and Suarez seems to believe the Pope can and the bishops can try him. Is there a correct position on this?
No. I have no answer for that one either. A lot of questions in the Church's life are worked out by history. St. Paul says there have to be heresies so that the truth can be known. Without the heresy, orthodoxy would not be defined. And every crisis of the Church has resulted in more truths being made more specific. Now, I cannot imagine, ever since the condemnation of the conciliarist heresy, I can't imagine who could judge a pope. I really can't. Who has the authority to say that he's a formal heretic? Only God or his successor, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not be surprised if at some future time they develop some kind of machinery to deal with it. Perhaps the experience of having an actual heretical pope will make a difference. I don't know.
Okay. Does the Pope have the authority to dissolve countries, commission interdicts, disallow Catholics to vote in elections, or order executions? Or have many of these practices been outlawed for the sake of appeasing countries?
Well, the Pope could never dissolve a country, because that's like dissolving a mountain. It is what it is. But certainly, in the past, popes have dropped interdicts on countries. Mexico, I know, in the 20s, for instance, which means forbidding Mass except under certain circumstances. other, not allowing voting in elections. Well, they certainly did that in Italy between 1870 and 1912, the famous non expedite. And then, as far as capital punishment goes, the popes exercised it themselves in the Papal States until 1870. They were pretty liberal with pardons, frankly, but they certainly did have some of these people executed. Now, was that legitimate? Absolutely. Do they not do it now to appease various nations? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But you've got to bear in mind that a lot of what was done then when they were ruling the Papal States was what a country does.
Yeah.
Not having much of a country now, it just doesn't come into it.
Right.
You know, why doesn't the Holy See have a navy anymore? Well, because they don't have a seacoast. That's why.
Yeah.
But that's also, incidentally, why when people talk about, the capital punishment is forbidden by the faith. No. It was permitted by all of the popes until very recently. And many of them were great saints. Now you might say, oh, but they were bad, and the most recent is the only good one. Well, you can say that. I don't know that evidence would suggest that that's true. I would say that if you're going to say any pope you've ever lived under was better than St. Gregory the Great or St. Pius V, I'm going to say no. And if the pope you have in mind was sane, I'm sure he would say the same thing. So it's always best to defer to the judgment of saints and not to consider yourself smarter than them.
Okay. What is the origin and purpose of the papal tiara? Why has it since been looked down upon and scarcely used?
Well, there are two different questions, two different answers. The tiara grew gradually, and there were several different explanations given for it. One was the three roles of the Pope as teacher, ruler, and leader or something. And the other was that it talked about the Pope's spiritual authority as temporal authority, and the mixture of the two. The tiara, up until and including the reign of Paul VI, was bestowed on the Pope in a very impressive coronation ceremony, in which the Bishop of Ostia placed it on his head and said, "Remember, you are the ruler of the world and the father of kings and princes." But no sooner he said that than a Capuchin monk would bring a burning book and say, "Thus passes the glory of the world."
Wow.
Yeah, you're the ruler of the world, all right.
Huh.
Then it's ashes.
Wow.
Which is a powerful symbolism.
Yeah.
I think the popes since then, and everyone else, would do well to remember that whatever power you think you have, you'll be dead soon. Even if you have 50 years ahead of you, you'll be dead soon. And unfortunately, a lot of, shall we say, less regal rights lack that reminder that you're going to be dead soon. If there was one thing I could tell every head of state in the world, even the head of the Holy See, it would be, you'll be dead soon. It's something you forget, with the excitement of being in charge, when you can do things and you open your mouth, everybody's jumping up and down, excited about you. You tend to forget you'll be dead soon.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
That's new. No, I thought you wanted to say to them, bad things happen to stupid people.
But that too. That too. And stupid people who do bad things, or bad things happen because they're stupid, who then die.
Yeah.
Stupidity can be a sin, if it's willful. Anyway, as to why it was gotten rid of, well, I hate to speak badly of the dead, but let's just put it this way. Clerics, like everyone else, are very much creatures of the world they live in. There was a superstition held by many clerics, especially the higher sort, in the 60s, that the temporal aspects of the papacy were bad, and that what was needed was to simplify everything and return to the simplicity of the apostles.
Okay.
This was mouthed constantly in those days. Several people, including one bishop who suggested this to me years ago, I said, well, then why don't we start with an unpaid clergy? The way our Lord said.
Uh-huh.
And the reactions that were very strange. Apparently getting rid of the tiara was okay, but not getting rid of the rectory.
Wow, that's surprising that they would react negatively to that.
Well, isn't it? You would think they would simply have given up their rectory and lived, in the church, the way they used to.
Yeah.
And just been with their people. But no. See, one of the things you find about human nature is that we tend to be the opposite of what comes out of our mouths. The more certain we are this way, very often the less our lives comport to it. So one of the things you'll find, and not just in the church, but with modern people in general, in authority, is that they disdain the trappings of their office. And, they want about how humble they are. But when it comes to making decisions, they are in charge, and you better like it. I remember one archbishop in particular who sold the bishop's palace, but he kept his winter home in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that was beautiful. It was a real testament to something. Similarly, I don't want to make too big of a point of it, but one of the problems with the papal apartments, and I can understand why someone who was elected pope that had a high opinion of himself and his own views as opposed to the traditions of the church, would look askance at the papal apartments, and not because of their beauty, but because what do the papal apartments really say? So you're pope. Just like Leo the 11th. Oh, you don't remember him? Neither does anyone else, Holy Father. You'll be dead soon. And if the holder of the office was a true modern person, that's the last thing you'd want to hear.
I see.
So what he would want to do is set up, sort of camp out in a kind of motel, where on the one hand people would think he was very humble because he was living in the Apostolic Palace.
Yeah.
But on the other, it would be all about him. Unfortunately, after a while he'd probably get tired of it. But it would be impossible for him to move because he can't change his mind. So it's all a piece of a piece of a piece.
Yeah.
It's not about my office, it's all about me. The simile I like to use is if I suddenly became a city councilman, right? And I'd say, being your city councilman is for me the culmination of my life's journey. It's such a fulfillment of who I am as a person. And I just feel that as a councilman, I can do so much more. And finally, yeah, Councilman Coulombe, that's nice. You ever going to fill the potholes, maybe get the trash picked up? Oh, no, that's the old view of what a city councilman does. I'm into the new paradigm. It's much more expansive than that.
Sounds good.
Sounds really good. The problem is it's garbage. And so am I. I'm here bloviating about this stuff. Meanwhile, the trash is piling up. You can't drive 10 yards without your car going into a sub hole. But I'm very full of myself. It's all wonderful. Look at me. And I guarantee you I'd be present at every bloody Hollywood opening.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Next question. Oh, so we're done with the Nathan Jones questions. Thank you so much, Nathan.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I wasn't more help.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I resembled a moron or a retard.
Yeah.
Talking about quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
You got that kind of a fixation on that. You got to let that go.
Yeah, I do.
Let go of it.
I need to.
All right.
All right. Next question is from David Thrower. I have a question regarding your book, Star-Spangled Crown.
Wow.
Which, by the way, is a phenomenal book.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, Charles.
Thank you very much.
On page 12, where you are writing about the female president going berserk and shooting up the White House, did you happen to get inspiration from the 2016 elections? In particular, the Democratic candidate who lost. Oops, maybe I shouldn't have been so specific. It sure sounds a lot like that particular person, so I was just curious.
Well, where do novelists get their ideas, really? Who knows? She may have slightly been in my mind, but the truth of the matter is that occurrence is set 30 or 40 years in our future, long after the election of 2016. And the implication, bear in mind that it was written before the election, so I didn't know who was going to win. The implication is that it didn't matter. Things kept on going downhill, regardless of the book opens, I think, by saying that the election of 2016 went as badly as everyone feared, which Trump won, and as we know, there are large segments of the population who are spitting mad over it and still haven't gotten over it. And God knows if she had won, there'd be large numbers of us who'd still be spitting mad and wouldn't have gotten over it. So the point I made was that it really didn't matter. By the time of our story, things kept degenerating in the path they'd been on, well, most of my time.
Yeah. You also wrote it before the election.
I did. So.
And to me, yeah, it was clear that you were addressing trends, the downhill trend, what we're doing, and including what we're doing as voters. The one line for me that really keyed in on this is when you're talking about the female president. And one of my favorite lines is, "She had been acting irrationally for a few weeks, and one must suppose the pressure of a collapsing nation was too much for a woman who had not really had much experience in either the public or private sector."
When I wrote that, I was thinking about this woman. I thought she was probably a beauty pageant winner.
Yeah.
And she was Miss America. They elected her on that basis.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of depth we bring to elections now, like Justin Bieber Trudeau.
Exactly. That's who I thought of. That you were.
Yeah. I think, and actually, to be brutally fair to Mrs. Clinton, Justin Trudeau was the real inspiration for the female president.
I mean, because she at least has experience in a sense.
It may not be good.
Yeah.
It may land her in jail, but she has experience in doing things. But Trudeau is just a pretty face. That's maybe not quite the word I want. Well, if you like Justin Bieber, you'll love Justin Trudeau.
There you go.
At any rate, that's why I always call them Justin Bieber Trudeau, because have you ever seen them together? I didn't think so, neither have I. But to me, Justin Trudeau represents the shallowest possible choice in anything political. I'm sure that future events, if I live long enough, will, show me more and worse. There'll be somebody far prettier and far more shallow than Justin Trudeau who gets in power somewhere. I have no doubt. But at any rate, Justin Trudeau was actually much more of an inspiration for that character than Mrs. Clinton was.
Oh. Next question is from Michael. How would you legitimize a new monarch? How would you legitimize a new monarch in a Catholic manner?
Have him crowned by the senior bishop of his country. There's a right for the coronation of the Roman Pontificale prior to 1960. Set him up in the country's most venerable cathedral, and have the bishop crown him and his queen, and that would be it.
Okay, let's say that happened in the United States. Who would be crowning the king?
Probably the Archbishop of Baltimore.
Who's the Archbishop of Baltimore?
William Laurie.
William Laurie?
Yes, not Peter Laurie. It's not even spelled the same way. William Laurie. L-O-R-I.
Wow. Pretty mysterious for being the highest-ranking clergyman in the United States.
It's not really the highest ranking. The see is the oldest of the country, and so is considered the senior see.
Oh.
So it's the closest we have to a primate in this country. Cardinal Gibbons, who was the Archbishop of Baltimore a century or more ago, he actively campaigned to have Baltimore made the primatial see, but he made a lot of enemies in Rome, so it didn't happen.
Okay. Our final question today is from our buddy Sylvain Durand.
Sylvain Durand.
Greetings again, fellow papists. I have a question that's very dear to my heart. How can we evangelize in the context of the crisis in the Church? I find it very difficult to tell people that the Roman Catholic Church is the only true church founded by Jesus Christ, while the authorities of this same church do everything in their power to undermine this very claim. It's difficult to say you must submit to the Roman pontiff, and at the same time say, pay no attention to the guy in white at the Vatican. How do you approach people to share the gospel?
Well,
that's a great question, by the way. That's an incredible question.
It's a tremendous question. Nails me to the wall. Thank you so much. I'll pay you back for that one day. You'll see. I'm sorry. No, seriously. It is a situation that is utterly insane, as Pope Benedict XVI himself said last year. It's madness, utter madness. But that does not absolve us from doing our duty. And if someone is turned off by the situation of the church today, to the degree of not wanting to talk about it, that's their problem, not yours. Their problem and the problem of the people in Rome. You can only do what you can do. If you make a sufficiently good impression on people by your behavior, by your way of life, they want to know why and how you're able to do that, well, you have to tell them it's my faith. We've got to preach the gospel in season and out of season, even if those in charge of it are insane. I remember the time of the, I don't remember personally, I wasn't there, but the time of the pornocracy in the 900s, a century of incredibly bad popes who were appointed, as I mentioned earlier, by these horrible women who were their, by turns, their lovers, mothers, etc. Not at the same time, I don't think. But they were a pretty vicious bunch of rascals. But the faith was no less true then than it is now. You see, the church is not the mystical body of the Pope. Okay? It's not. It's great if you've got a good Pope. It's better if you've had a series of them. But if you've got a Pope who's as bad as any of the worst we've ever had, the faith does not cease to be true. It's very important to understand that. The church does not teach things. Things do not become true because the church teaches them. The church teaches them because they're true. You see, Catholicism, the Catholic religion, is simply and only reality, the way things are. And you can have a pope who says, the sky is green, except when it's purple. He can say whatever he likes. The sky is still blue. I grant you, it's tough. Absolutely. And I also grant you, as I've expressed through the course of this evening, I do not have all the answers. I wish I did. But I can tell you that we know what our duty is, and that's on us. To try to lead a good Catholic life, to try to aim for heaven, to not succumb to our own sinfulness, our own pride, our own passions and desires, our own foolishness. You and I have no control over anyone else in the world except you and me. So, what can I tell you? Do your best. And if someone is turned off because of the Pope or the Archbishop or the Cardinal or this or that, that's their lookout, and the Cardinal or the Pope or the Bishop's lookout, not yours. You do your best. I remember when the pedo scandal first broke and became very big, and people said to me, gee, how can you possibly be a Catholic with all those pedophiles running around? I said, you're absolutely right. That's why when I found out President Nixon was a crook, I joined the KGB. Inevitably people stopped talking at that point. But I wish I had an easy answer, but there is none. These are the times that try men's souls. But look at this. By the time you see this, the Epiphany shall just have occurred a couple days before. That's why Dom Guéranger is so important. The liturgical year, the feasts of the church, the sacraments, the sacramentals, the devotions, the heart of the faith. That's what you need to get into. That's what you need to zero in on. That's what you need to spread. I guarantee you, whether the Pope or the hierarchy are good or bad at any given moment is not in itself salvific for your soul or mine. The sacraments are. Leading the Catholic life is. The rest of it is a hindrance and annoyance, but at the end of the day, if we lose our souls, it's our fault.
You know, in that same vein, I had this epiphany the other day that was very hopeful, because we all want things from the world. You know, we want strong priests, we want strong, clergymen, we want, maybe we're out of a job, we require, we want someone to recognize that we're a good worker. Maybe we're lonely, we want a girlfriend. We want things from the world, and we, we're not in control.
Yeah.
But we are in control, absolute control of one thing, and it's whether or not we become a saint. There is no obstacle there. There is nothing we need from the world where it's like, oh, okay, I require this from the world. We are in absolute, complete control, and if we don't become a saint, that is completely on us. And to me, that was so inspirational to realize that.
It's true.
That it's right there for the taking.
It is. The only tragedy is to not become a saint.
Absolutely.
And that, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So at the end of this wonderful Christmas season, in the immediate wake of the Epiphany, remember that Christ has revealed himself unto the Gentiles, that is you and me. And it's up to us and us alone whether or not we jump on the wagon or we don't. But then again, this is California.
Uh-huh.
I think it's more important, really, to know who's winning the Academy Awards.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. We can let ourselves, it's easy to see how people are distracted by the Academy Awards or sports. But make no mistake, we can be distracted by the sins of the clergy and the hierarchy just as easily.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, whether the Pope is good or bad makes no more difference to my salvation than who gets the Academy Awards this year.
Yeah.
So, be of good cheer, ladies and gentlemen. Christ is born. He has revealed himself to the Gentiles. We've still got all the weeks of Mardi Gras left. Then will come Lent. Then will come Easter. And on and on and on and on.
We'll see you next time. And remember, if it's Monday, it's off the menu.
Ciao.